Welcome to Experiments in Happiness with Michelle Lemus, the podcast for high-achieving women who've checked all the boxes but still feel something's missing.
There's a moment many women reach quietly. It doesn't announce itself. It doesn't come with a dramatic breakdown or a public unraveling. Most of the time, no one else even notices when it happens. It usually arrives after years of effort, after doing what you were told would work, after showing up consistently, after pushing through discomfort, after fixing, optimizing, and powering through, after being the capable one, the reliable one, the strong one. It arrives when you've done everything that's supposed to lead to progress, and you realize you're exhausted but not finished. And when that moment finally surfaces, it often sounds like this: I've tried everything, and nothing is working. Not angry, not panicked, just tired, bone tired, the kind of tired that isn't solved by a nap or a weekend off. And when you're there, being told to try harder doesn't feel motivating. It feels almost offensive, like being handed another strategy when what you really need is to sit down. But here's the reframe that changes the entire conversation. What if the problem isn't that you haven't done enough? What if the problem is that you've been doing it too aggressively for too long? Because when something stops working, our instinct is usually to push harder, to add more structure, more pressure, more discipline. But if pushing harder is what led you here, then pushing harder can't be the solution, which means the opposite of what you've been doing isn't quitting. It's changing how you apply effort. And that's how the word gentle enters the conversation. For high achieving women, the word gentle can feel suspicious, almost insulting. Gentle sounds like lowering standards, like losing momentum, like settling, like letting yourself off the hook. And if effort has always been your survival strategy, of course, gentle feels wrong. If pushing got you results, if endurance earned you respect, if staying strong kept things from falling apart, then effort doesn't just feel familiar, it feels necessary. So when someone suggests softness, your system may hear, give up, stop caring, be less. Even if that's not what they're saying, because gentle is not the absence of effort, it's the absence of force. And those two things are not the same. This is where understanding the nervous system becomes everything. Because when you've been pushing for a long time, your nervous system learns a very specific rule. Safety comes from control and effort. So when something doesn't work, the system doesn't pause and reassess. It tightens, it adds pressure, it adds rules, it adds internal dialogue that sounds like discipline but feels like criticism. Just get through it. Don't be dramatic. Other people handle more than this. You should be able to do this. That voice often masquerades as motivation, but it's actually fear. Fear of losing control, fear of falling behind, fear of what might happen if you stop pushing. And here's the part that most women never learned. You cannot force a regulated state. You cannot bully your nervous system into feeling safe. And many of the things we want, clarity, motivation, creativity, connection, joy, only show up when the system feels safe enough to soften. You can't muscle your way into peace. You can't discipline yourself into aliveness. You can't optimize your way out of exhaustion. But that's exactly what so many women keep trying to do. When someone says, I've tried everything, what they usually mean is, I've tried the same approach, harder, the same strategy with more intensity, the same goal with higher expectations, the same plan with less rest. That's not failure. That's loyalty, loyalty to what once worked. And it's important to honor that because effort did help you survive at one point. It did help you succeed. But when life changes, when your body changes, when your responsibilities change, when your nervous system is no longer the same one you had 10 years ago, the strategy has to change too. Otherwise, effort becomes friction, and friction becomes burnout. So here's the shift that opens the door. Gentle does not mean passive. Gentle means responsive. Gentle listens before acting. Gentle notices signals instead of overriding them. Gentle adjusts instead of insisting. Gentle works with your system instead of against it. It's not quitting, it's recalibrating. And recalibration is what allows movement to become sustainable again. Gentle in real life often looks unimpressive. It doesn't look like hustle. It doesn't look like discipline. It doesn't look like the kind of thing people praise. Gentle might look like shorter work sessions instead of longer ones. It might look like pausing before responding instead of reacting. Doing the minimum viable version instead of the maximal one. Letting something be good enough without revisiting it 5 more times. Resting before you're completely depleted. Speaking to yourself the way you would speak to someone you love, not someone you're trying to toughen up. None of this looks powerful from the outside, but inside the nervous system, it's everything because gentleness communicates safety, and safety is what allows change to stick. So instead of forcing your way into peace, I want to invite you to practice it. For 1 week, when something feels hard, overwhelming, sticky, or draining, pause. Not to fix, not to optimize, just to notice. And then ask a different question. Not, what's the most efficient thing I can do? Not, what will prove I'm disciplined? Not, what should I be able to handle? Ask this instead. What would the gentlest next step be? Not the final step, not the smartest step, not the one that looks good on paper, just the gentlest next step. That might be standing up and stretching before continuing, breaking a task into half of what you planned, letting something be unfinished, saying no without a long explanation, choosing rest before collapse, and then notice what happens. Don't judge it. Don't measure output, just notice. At first, gentle often feels unfamiliar. Sometimes it feels uncomfortable. Your system might say, this won't be enough. You're falling behind. You're going to lose momentum. That's not intuition, that's conditioning. And if you stay with it, even briefly, something begins to shift. Energy starts to return, but not in a frantic way, in a steadier way. Resistance softens. Decisions feel less heavy. Clarity sneaks back in, not because you pushed harder, but because you stopped fighting yourself. Gentle creates traction. And if you're worried that softening means you'll lose ground, hear this. You don't need more force. You need more safety. Gentle is how burned out systems heal. Gentle is how trust is rebuilt. Gentle is how you learn to move forward without breaking yourself in the process. Sustainable change does not come from punishment. It comes from self-trust. You are not failing because effort stopped working. You're evolving. Your system is asking for a new language, a new pace, a new relationship with yourself. And that request deserves to be honored. So we'll keep experimenting. Because happiness isn't found by squeezing more out of yourself. It's found by learning how to move forward without hurting yourself along the way.
Thanks for listening to Experiments in Happiness. You can find more tools and resources at experimentsinhappiness.com.